On my previous Pixel tablet review, you guys asked a lot of good questions. One of those being, what's the deal with Stylus support and exactly how does it work? We know the Pixel tablet officially supports the USI 2.0 standard, and luckily for you, I've been using the Stylus exclusively with the Pixel tablet for probably the last week and some change, and I'm finally ready to share my in-depth thoughts with what the experience is like. The handwriting capability is the first thing that we should talk about, since that's what I feel a majority of Stylus users want to use it for. Thankfully, if you're a student or just a normal guy like me, I'm happy to report that the writing actually feels pretty good depending on the app you're using. As a baseline comparison, all the apps I've tested take advantage of the pressure sensitivity and palm rejection with minimal issues. One huge thing to keep in mind though is the latency and responsiveness of writing is heavily dependent on the app you're using and if it's well optimized for stylus use. For example, writing in an app called Squid is absolutely amazing. It's just so seamlessly smooth, palm rejection works perfectly, and if there's any errors in my actual writing, it's normally my own fault in terms of writing sloppily as opposed to the app not correctly relaying my notes. Also, Squid has a lot of tools to work with, like many variants of lined paper, graphs, and monthly planners, plus many options for adjusting the actual pen input as well. Google Keep is another app that I tried. Frankly, the latency side could use some work. To me, it just feels okay, and Squid is still much better besides the fact that I'm used to Google Keep as a service and I like Google services. Thankfully, Google Keep has a pretty nice variety of lined paper and a pretty helpful option that can turn your writing into text. This is an issue that I have with Squid where I want to write a ton of notes and then I want to turn it into text for my coworkers because my handwriting is absolutely terrible. With Google Keep, you can do that and it's pretty nice. The last major app I tried in depth was the Post-it app by 3M. That's the same company that does the physical Post-it sticky notes as well, by the way. I expected this app to be the best for writing, but in my personal opinion, Post-it was actually pretty bad. It's hard to explain, but handwriting just feels so sticky in Post-it, like they're trying to automatically correct or adjust my handwriting, and because of this, it does not feel very fluid at all. And that's exactly what I meant earlier at the beginning of this conversation when I said that writing quality is on an app-by-app basis. Overall, the experience is good, but if you're not using the right notes app, the experience can be perceived as poor, so my personal recommendation, just use Squid. It feels so comfortable, and honestly, once you get used to writing on glass, you can go to town as if it was an actual notebook. When it comes to drawing, the story is pretty similar. I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but to test it out, I fired up Infinite Painter to see what the overall experience was like. Pressure sensitivity works well here, and the palm rejection is also present as expected. Infinite Paper can tell if you have the pen angled head on or to the side like a physical writing utensil, so overall, I think the experience is pretty excellent here. Like I said, I'm not an artist, but with a big screen canvas like this, plus the features I see here that are actually working, I can see the Pixel tablet being a pretty decent device to draw on, but I'm gonna leave the final opinion to actual artists out there. So these first examples I gave you is what I feel most people would want to use a stylus for. For a secondary purpose, getting a stylus is pretty useful for just general navigation. To me, it makes perfect sense that there's a certain segment of users that would want to use the stylus as a pseudo mouse replacement. With the Pixel tablet, I can say this aspect is very surprising nonetheless. I'd say the stylus is a great mouse substitute as you can do pretty much anything a normal mouse will do. In Chrome, holding down on links will offer you an option to open up a new tab. Holding down on images will initiate a drag and drop style Google Lens search. Hovering over items will tell you more information or just simply highlight to let you know what you're about to click on. Some apps give you animation feedback and others just feel a bit better with a precise cursor as opposed to using your grubby little fingers. Sometimes using touch controls can be cumbersome on a big screen like this, and there were times where using the pen was actually easier to interact with in some apps, as it can also cover so much surface area much faster and more efficiently than I could with just my normal fingers. Take video editing, for example, where there's so many little buttons, knobs, and options. Having a precise pointer just makes the flow go so much smoother. Same with photo editing. I use Snapseed for basic edits, and messing around with the toggles just feels a lot cleaner. Likewise with Google Docs, sometimes I use a keyboard attachment, and moving the cursor with your finger is just sometimes so annoying and frustrating. So being able to use a stylus to precisely tap on that specific point to highlight text is just so satisfying once you get used to it. Not to mention, marking up on screenshots also feels good. Logically, anything that you would use a precise pointer for, a stylus makes complete sense and translates well to this Android experience. I'd say that stands for general operating system navigation as well. Interaction with Material U animations feels extra clean screen with a stylus, and maybe I'm just lazy, but it feels easier as well, as I don't have to move my whole hand to reach the opposite side of the screen. Something else to note, if you plan on using the stylus this much, enabling the handwriting option in the keyboard settings is going to make life 1,000 times easier, and with this setting on, you technically never have to touch the screen with your actual fingers ever again. For me, this is great for short Google searches as opposed to long pieces of dialogue, which brings me to my final point about general stylus use. I notice my screen is much less smudgy and greasy because I'm using the pen at least 40% of the time, which just helps a lot with cleanliness. I just find myself not needing to clean the screen that often anymore, which is pretty nice. As I was learning to use the stylus with the Pixel tablet, something that kept coming up was where to actually put it when you're done, which is a fair point. Many tablets out there have a magnetic solution, while others have a dedicated slot to put the stylus in. For the Pixel tablet, we have magnets all over the rear of the device. Unfortunately, there's only small little segments where it's going to stick to. The most reliable area is on the back next to the camera. I've also noticed a small strip of magnets on the bottom as well. There are videos out there of people positioning the pen on the left and right side of the tablet, but I didn't get any solid connection here, so maybe it has more to do with the actual pen you're using. For the most part, the pen just sits there comfortably, but some minor shaking or a slight brush against the pen might cause it to dislodge. Because of that, I find the best times to dock the pen to the tablet is when you're stationary. Ideally, when you're sitting down for sustained periods of time, or plan to keep the tablet in hub mode so that way you don't lose the pen. At this point, my brain is trained to automatically place the stylus back on the back of the tablet. I actually prefer to keep it there because I always know where the stylus should be when I'm ready to use it. Not sure if you wanted to do this either, but you can also throw the pen on the hub itself too. So if you want to use the tablet but not the stylus itself, just keep it on the hub and you always have a place for it. Real quick, let's go over the likes, the dislikes, and then we can get out of here. As for the likes, I love using the stylus with a Bluetooth keyboard. I find it helps with precise editing and saves me the time of lifting my finger all the way to the screen when the stylus can do most of the work. Something else I appreciate is the barrier to entry being so low. There are a handful of quality third-party pens in the $30 to $40 range. And finally, the huge screen on the Pixel tablet is a great canvas to write on. Whether it's portrait or landscape, you just have so much space to work with and it feels pretty nice. As for the dislikes, I am so confused why Google did not add their own spin on this. They've known for years now, they have to, that they were releasing a tablet, and it just seemed like a waste that they didn't launch with some headlining features or even quality of life changes for stylus users on the software side. Which brings me to my next obvious dislike, which is the idea that Google didn't have a first-party option ready at launch. Again, this is a new branch of the Pixel lineup, and it's just such a waste to not have that ready. Don't get me wrong, it's better to delay it than to release something bad, but still, it just doesn't feel right. Every single company that releases a tablet has had the stylus ready, so I don't know what's going on, but I just wanted to throw that out there for those who are interested. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about the current situation regarding the stylus experience. In terms of the future of stylus support on Android, we do know the upcoming Android 14 update is apparently supposed to be adding some stylus-focused features. 9to5Google published an article last month that notated that Android might possibly get the ability to set a system-wide default notes app with the press of a button on your stylus, and there's potential for you to do this right from your lock screen. Not sure if this is going to support third-party apps, but we'll just have to wait and see. As for pen options themselves, we know that Google is supposedly working on their own first-party stylus. We don't know when it's coming, how much it's going to cost, or if there's going to be new features that will ship with it, but you bet once it's out, we'll be taking a look at it here. In the meantime, you do have to look at some third-party pen options. Anything USI 2.0 will work for the Pixel tablet. For this video, the one that I'm using is normally released with the Amazon Fire Max 11, which is another tablet that came out recently. Links will be in the description, but I like this one just because it's pretty cheap and a decent stylus to start with anyway. It's powered by quadruple A batteries and it's supposed to last for at least 6 months at a time. Personally, if you're willing to spend more money, I would recommend the Panoval USI 2.0 stylus just because it's rechargeable and probably has a way better feel in the hand. Like I said though, any USI 2.0 stylus will work as far as I know, or you can just wait for the Google official stylus as well. And that completes my review on the Pixel tablet stylus experience. For the most part, I was pleasantly surprised. I see myself continuing to use it for journaling and brainstorming sessions as I really like to have unlimited space to write my thoughts on. So for that alone, buying a stylus was worth it for me. For the amount of notebooks that I've acquired over the years, I could have bought a dozen stylus pens by now, so personally, I got my money's worth. For everyone else though, I hope this video gave you some insight as to what to expect with Stylus support on the Pixel tablet specifically. If you have any questions, just leave your comments and either myself or the community will get to them. And yeah, other than that, this has been a long video. I'm getting out of here so I can work on the next one. But again, I hope this video helped. With that said though, this is Jordan Floyd from 9to5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.